Welcome to Taking the Myth, your topical, skeptical discussion show. I'm Stephen Knight, and joining me is Iram Ramzan. Iram, how the fuck are you?
I mean, how long has it been? I mean, I've travelled half the world in the time it's taken for us.
You have. We've had a million scandals which were massive.
The biggest one so far has to be Michael Owen promoting those hideous jumpers. What the hell is that all about?
Yeah, I was in there. Where were I? I was in Peacocks. And I just turned around to see a big cardboard placard of Michael Owen's mug.
Like, I know this guy. He's that famous movie reviewer.
And I looked him straight in the eye and I thought, this cunt hasn't even seen The Godfather.
But he's promoting jumpers.
But he's promoting jumpers. For our American audience, that's sweater.
I mean, okay, first of all, I don't mind a bit of, clothes promotion. Every celeb does it. Mm-hmm. Look at Holly Willoughby and M&S, right? I do. But Peacocks, who shops in Peacocks? It's
not me.
Low budget. It's. I can't remember the last time I even went into Peacocks. Never mind bought anything from there. It's. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a really good analogy, but it's like Pound Shop for clothes. I mean, he would have been better served as brand ambassador for bloody Odeon Cinema or something like that. I mean, that would make more sense. They need selling jumpers.
What would be a good brand for Michael Owen? It'd have to be something really dour and boring and uniform.
Peacock jumper.
Peacock jumpers. Yep, nailed it. Yep, nailed it. Okay, fair enough. I did want to pivot to something though, which brought me a small amount of joy. It's a big lie, actually. I'm proper smug about it, but I don't know if you remember, but a while back when Tommy Robinson was found accused, rather, at the time, of contempt of court for his antics outside numerous courthouses during ongoing criminal proceedings. You and I looked at that immediately and went, "Yep, that's contempt of court. That's nailed on." I think anyone who's either a journalist or has done the opening module of any journalism course knows straight away what contempt of court is. I remember at the time you and I saying on this very podcast, and I've gone back, I've tweeted it out, so it happened. We totally said that his conviction for contempt of court would be used as in the next edition of McNay's Essential Law for Journalists. And guess what, Iram? It's only there.
Stephen?
It's only there.
Oh, when did you discover that?
Right, this is the really sad thing. It was added 2 years ago, but I missed it, and I noted it down. I think I
saw a reference to it, so I thought this was something new. I saw a brief reference to it a few years ago, but I thought this was a different. I don't know. I thought it was something else. Yeah, so it's been there a while.
It's been there a while. So for those who don't know, McNay's Essential Law for Journalists is kind of like the Bible for journalists who are studying journalism. It covers everything, and we kind of said that when the next edition of that comes out, they'll use Tommy Robinson as a case study and how blatant and obvious his contempt of court is, which appears to have happened. So this entire diatribe about Tommy Robinson and contempt of court was just me saying, "I told you so," basically.
Is this just you humble bragging right
It's
now?
me humble bragging because at the time I openly said he's a dickhead, he's banged to rights, and he's in a lot of trouble. And I got so much abuse from his fan base online, and then I literally had to explain to I think every person on Twitter what contempt of court is and why he did that. So let's just talk for an hour about Tommy Robinson being in McNay's Essential Law for Journalists, please. I think that's going to fill the show. And how I was right. Don't forget that bit about how I was right.
We'll get a plaque made in your honor. You could put that in your Twitter bio now.
It's going on my LinkedIn, mate.
Yeah. And he's now reinstated on Twitter, which I'm sure we'll get onto later on.
Yeah, I was always against him being banned. I think he got banned for really dubious reasons. He got banned for sort of sharing the grooming gang statistics. I think he just repeated Quilliam's report, and probably in a crass way, I'm not sure, and he got banned for that, so it seemed a bit daft. I'm just looking at our topic list now, and I'm wondering how many we can drag out to avoid talking about Israel and Gaza.
Well, there is one thing that I think is huge news. Not Israel Gaza, obviously. This is way bigger. This is way
Okay,
bigger.
hit me.
This is me interviewing Jean Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
Were you a fan, Stephen? Were you a fan?
I think his best role of his lifetime was quite possibly the wonderful character of Guile in Street Fighter 2, the movie. I don't know if you've seen that masterpiece, but it's up there. Everyone says Bloodsport, but no, Street Fighter 2
You've read
is
Street
where it's at.
Fighter.
Yeah.
Street Fighter, the one with Kylie Minogue, was that?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Well, fucking hell, well done.
Well, I do my research, I like the one where he was in Friends. the one where Monica and Rachel are fighting over him. Yeah.
But hang a minute, we're burying the lead here. You met Jean-Claude Van Damme for an article.
Yeah.
What
I
was
made
that
loads of my male friends and some females jealous as well.
He is a
So
legend.
now I can retire now, I think, because I've kind of just nailed it.
But he's promoting whiskey, isn't he? Is that his thing?
Yeah, so he's got a new whiskey out in where else but Ireland. So I went to Ireland. Well, it was Northern Ireland to see his whiskey.
So they actually sent you to, was it Belfast you went to?
It was Belfast.
Okay.
Yep, he was in there promoting the whiskey and yeah, got to speak with the main man himself. And I have to admit, he's still in pretty good shape.
You have got the cheese. He's holding. I tell you what, this is Me Too all over it. This photo of you and Jean-Claude. You're there in some. I mean, you're there in a very lovely red dress. He's got his arms wrapped around you, and you've got. I can't quite tell if you're smiling or if it's a cry for help. It's an in between.
It's a, oh my god, I can't believe I'm with Jean-Claude Van Damme expression. It's a my mum is going to be so jealous expression.
All right, here's the question though, because he has got hold of you from behind. What if he just choked you out? Would that be an honor or would that be an assault? That's the question.
It's a very difficult one to answer.
It's a grey area. It
is a grey area, and I'm gonna move on from that question. You can ask me anything else, but I'm going to move on.
Okay, fair enough. I think I saw your article at the time and I said they missed the trick. We're not going with the headline Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I put that in my article.
Yeah, and you was annoyed because you wanted to.
So annoyed they took that out, and I thought, no, that's just so obvious.
Have the Daily Mail got a punning, like a zero tolerance on punning or something?
They have now. They
have
really do. Yeah, I mean, new regime, which doesn't like puns apparently.
Fuck, I love puns.
I love a good pun
I
as
love
well.
a good pun. Christopher Hitchens famously hated puns. Wasn't a big fan. I think he was wrong about that. I think that was one of the only few beefs I had with the great man. Yeah, I love puns.
I mean, it's a fun piece, I'd understand if you're writing a piece about what's going on in Gaza.
Yeah,
you don't want to be
no punning.
You don't want to be saying puns.
No punning in the Gaza pieces.
But let the record state that I did put in Jean-Claude Van Damme into the article, and it got removed for editorial reasons. But yeah, it was very fun. Definitely the highlight of my career, I'd say.
So he was cool. He was all right.
He was all right. I mean, he spoke to me for ages. I couldn't get him to shut up. I think he liked me.
He had a TV series a while back, which was kind of like...
Yeah, I've not seen it, but a lot of people raved about it.
I loved it, and it was kind of building up to him coming back in the ring as a fighter, and I can't remember if I don't think it ever happened.
No, he said to me, you heard it here first, everyone. So JC, as I now call him, told me personally that although he loves fighting and he misses it all, it's not something he'd go back into. He's 63.
I was about to say he's about 89 now, isn't he, or something?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He obviously looks good for his age, but he's not. Competitions are really full on. You have to dedicate so much time to them, and I think at his age, no.
Yeah, I think it's So that's that then. tick that off. Movie and fighting legend Jean Claude Van Damme is now one of your pals.
Yeah.
All right. What else can we talk about to avoid discussing Israel and Gaza? Something topical and kind of cool. I like it. I'm not sure how you'll feel about it. Is the new Beatles song. How have we got a new Beatles song, you may ask? There are only 2 of them are still alive. Well, they have tinkered with a John Lennon demo recorded back when he was still alive. Obviously, it's difficult to record demos when you're dead. Or maybe not now, actually.
Difficult, maybe not impossible.
But maybe not impossible. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw the... I don't know, you wouldn't have watched this. I'm not getting the impression you're not a massive Beatles fan, but there was a documentary on Disney Plus a while back called Get Back. And one of the reasons it was especially interesting was because Peter Jackson, the director, famous for the Lord of the Rings film, he'd had hours and hours of footage of the Beatles in the studio. And one of the issues they had when trying to cobble something together and edit it was that there were instruments playing all the time when people were talking. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult to separate audio from audio. You can make it louder, you can level it up, you can clear things up, you can reduce background noises. But if everything's one channel, it's very difficult to clear it out. So he used.
I've learned something new.
There you go. So what he did, however, I'm not sure he did it personally, but his team managed to train AI to learn, say, John Lennon's voice.
Ooh.
And after it had learned enough about John Lennon's voice, it could isolate John Lennon's voice from whatever instruments were playing in the background. And then you had an isolated, clean studio production level file of John Lennon's voice. So they could make this documentary then, and you could hear what was being said between the Beatles without the, annoyance of guitars strumming or drums going in the background. So they've since used that same technology to strip away John Lennon's vocals from a demo he recorded years and years ago. And the remaining Beatles have finished it off. And it got to number 1. I really like it. But there's been some debate about the ethics of tinkering with someone's art long after they're gone, using digital manipulation, things like that. How do you feel about it?
I feel a bit... I'm one of those, I think, I don't always like to deploy the slippery slope argument, but it could. I should. I'm not really a huge Beatles fan. I should be. I don't hate them or anything. I just don't know enough about the Beatles. It's got sort of broadly positive reviews, hasn't it?
I like it. It's a
the Guardian gave it 4, so I don't know how to feel about that.
Fuck the Guardian.
Well, the Telegraph gave it 3, so let's go with the Tory graph.
The Tory graph, yeah.
I suppose a lot of Beatles fans would like it because, hearing John Lennon's voice would be quite moving. As well, I suppose the other point is that maybe it might encourage younger people to explore, and me, though I'm not younger, but I'm younger than you, but
I think so.
I'm not traditionally a young person, but if it encourages younger people to listen to Beatles stuff. Does it sound suspiciously like AI? Can you tell it's AI?
No, because it's not AI. It is his vocals. They've just removed the background noise, so it is him. I suppose it's getting into that area as well. I don't know if there's been a few high-profile films where they've used they kind of brought actors back from the dead digitally, and it all comes into sort of image rights, doesn't it? There are a lot of people in Hollywood now are kind of stipulating in their contracts they are not to be revived in any way, shape, or form when they're dead. So I don't know. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it exists in the world, but we'll get to a point. I think we're already there in certain ways where you'll tell AI to do a cover version of this song, but in the style of Kurt Cobain. I think I've already seen things like that. It's not quite perfect, but it will get there. That's the thing. So you'll have new Freddie Mercury Queen songs coming out.
Can people just not listen to old songs?
I like old songs.
I like old songs too. New ones are shit. See, that's when you know you're not a young person anymore. When music today sounds shit to you. All
right. What else can we talk about to avoid the Gaza-Israel conflict?
Well, I've run out of famous people.
You need to meet more famous people, goddammit.
I'm trying. I tried to put in for Frank Bruno the other day, and it just didn't work.
You'll have to ask him about youth hosteling. You won't get that reference because that's Chris Eubank. No, ignore it. It's a bad Alan Partridge joke. That doesn't even make sense.
Is this worse than my
Doesn't
Terminator?
even, yeah, it's almost that I've confused Frank Bruno
That's
with
the other thing.
Chris Eubank.
I tried to get an interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger as well.
Oh, he's promoting his book, isn't he?
Yeah, he was in the UK. There was I think he had an event in, I think it was at the Royal Albert Hall. He spoke there.
Yeah.
And my PT said he knew somebody who went to it and really enjoyed it. So
I've got his book. I've been listening to the audible version of it. So
what does he say? Like, be a man,
don't get girly, man. Get out of bed, do it.
That is
like
awful.
That. Yeah, we'll be cutting that. We'll be cutting that. What's your favourite Arnold Schwarzenegger line? I bet you don't know much about Arnie, do you?
You talking to me?
That's Robert De Niro.
I know it is. Yeah, I was playing along. Honestly, you talking to me?
You're talking to me. Oh, wait a minute. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Say hello to my little friend. Take back control. No, wait.
You are a toy, a child's plaything. Oh my god, this is just it.
You sound like a massive pervert with that accent. Not that I'm saying Arnold Schwarzenegger sounds like a pervert, but Jesus you Christ. Doing the Schwarzenegger does.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. You've managed to insult me, but then still retaining the dignity of the Austrian oak. I like it. What were we talking about? Jesus Christ. Oh, how about Elon Musk, because he's in a bit of hot water at the moment. And we've spoke about him a lot on this podcast because he was kind of celebrated before he even took over Twitter. He's going to save it. He's going to be this free speech champion, this person who's going to, turn things around. And to me, he's kind of like one of the most smartest, richest trolls I've ever seen in my life. I find he's
definitely on the spectrum.
Yeah, and I find his behavior a little bit
odd.
Yes, peculiar and a bit. I want to say below him, but it appears to be at the level with him now. He seems to take a lot of pleasure in this kind of owning the libs, sharing memes kind of thing. And
don't you just love it when all these but people like Elon Musk try to claim that they're sort of, they're not the mainstream media and they're doing something different. They're sticking it to the man. You think, well, you're a billionaire. It's you're hardly ordinary Joe Blogs off the street who's been persecuted.
This is what Donald Trump didn't he? Basically, he said, "I'm for free speech, fuck PC culture," and the average man went, "Whoa, one of us!" And he's not. These people are on different planets. But the reason he's in trouble really is because
where do we start?
Yeah, Twitter is a business at the end of the day, and it's all very well saying you're going to be a champion for absolute freedom of expression, but at some point, advertisers go, "No, thank you. You can't have. We will stop letting you use our ads. We will stop giving you money if you allow this person to remain on your platform. If you say things about topic A, B, and C, we'll pull our funding." So at some point, he's got to make the call. Is he going to support absolute freedom of expression, or is he going to chase money? And I don't know. I re-signed onto Twitter Blue because I was interested in the offer of money for ad revenue. I don't know if you've seen this now. People get a percentage.
Do you have to have a certain following for that? Because
I think it's a certain follow account, and I think it's a certain threshold of impressions that I don't know how they work out impressions, but you have to have something like 3 million impressions a month or something daft like that.
Okay, well, I'm screwed. I ain't getting anywhere near that, and I'm still hovering on 9,000 followers. Where are you people?
Yeah, follow
Iram. What
are
you doing?
Fucking idiots. Jesus
Christ.
Well, I must say, my followers stayed stagnant for years, and I in my head, I've still got 50,000 Twitter followers because that's where I were forever. And since Elon took over, I'm 70,000 and whatever. I don't really care, to be honest, but I signed up for the monetization because I thought, well, he's making money off my tweets already. I might as well take a cut. Do you want to hear how much money I've made? Do you want to see how big time I am now? How much I've got towards the yacht?
Is it enough to buy a Michael Owen jumper?
Is it? So from September the 1st to September 29th, I earned a grand total of, are you ready? $14.31.
Hey,
So
that's more than I'm getting off fucking Twitter. Apart from,
let me just have a look at
abuse
the
and dirty comments.
dollars to sterling.
It's about like what, £9-10 or something.
Okay, so we're just gonna work out how fucking rich I'm. £40,
9
31,
quid.
£11.44.
Oh, okay.
And then 20% to the tax man, so it's not looking good for me there.
It's still enough to buy 2 coffees, so drinks are on you, Stephen.
Yeah, drinks on me. 11 quid, thanks Elon. Having said that, from October 13th to the 10th of November, I earned a grand total of $28.26.
Wow.
So I think if anyone wants to accuse me of grifting, you can fuck off, because I tweet deeply unpopular things that aren't ad friendly, apparently. But you can see people doing it now. You can see people tailoring their tweets to
How do you do
appeal.
that?
They choose really benign topics, and I think they encourage people to reply to them. I think the more tweets are replied to, then the more likely it is an ad will be put on there. But there were people who would sensationalize things, shocking claims that were completely untrue, and they'd be most of the people responding to it would be angry, saying this isn't true, but they'd still be getting the money. So it was incentivizing bad behavior. Do you know what I mean?
So what the hell is the point of this?
But Elon's kind of announced now that if your tweet gets, a community note on it, you can't get advertising revenue from it, which I think is a smart thing, because all sorts of anti-vax cranks were kind of tweeting like demonstrably false information or fake images and things like that, and it was getting millions and millions of impressions. Half of the people sharing it because they thought it was correct, the other half were outraged because it was incorrect, and all the time the person who tweeted it was just raking in advertising revenue. So that's the issue.
Well, that's the thing with since Elon's taken over, he's included that community notes, which has helped, because now whenever enough people have community noted someone, it comes up automatically under their tweet. So
it's great as well, because every time Owen Jones tweets now, you just see the community note that says
that's what I see. I just
says
read
bell
that
end. Just says bell end, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, didn't he tweet something that was apparently endorsing an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory?
He's been nicknamed on Twitter this week, and I'm just putting this out there as information. This is not an endorsement of said term, but people are referring to Owen Jones as a Hamas sexual.
Now, hey, I called myself a homosexual.
Homosexual.
So that's way Hamas-sexual's way better.
Hamas.
I mean, it's not, obviously, but
it's not.
You know what I mean?
It's terrible, but as a pun, we like a pun on this show.
We like a pun on this show.
We like a pun. So yeah, he's been doing his best to play basically PR for Hamas this last few weeks. Oh God, we're straining to Israel Gaza. Quick, let's back to Elon Musk.
Back to Elon.
Back to Elon Musk.
Back to Elon.
So yeah, he's in trouble. Back to Elon. Fucking hell. God. Come with me or there will be trouble. Right. Yeah, no, I do sound like a sex offender, don't I? Yeah, it's not good. What's he in trouble for?
I'm glad we're as serious as ever.
Yes. Let's cut this down to the parts where we sound intelligent. This will be a 20-minute episode. What was I going to say?
Back to Elon.
Elon. So I'll read the headline on Elon on Musk anyway, because this is quite big news in terms of revenue for Twitter, or X, which I will never call it. So the headline from the New York Times is...
I hate calling it X.
X? It's just...
Can't get used to it.
Do you not think when you get a notification on your phone, it's got a big X at the top, do you not think it looks salacious? It's like, oh shit, have I turned on notifications for Pornhub again? That's the kind of worry that goes through your mind. You see an X flash up on your phone as a notification. Right. Advertisers flee X as outcry over Musk's endorsement of anti-Semitic post grows. That's a clunky headline. Okay, so Disney, Apple, Paramount, and Lionsgate halted marketing on X, formerly Twitter, as Elon Musk faced a furore, I hate that word, over anti-Semitic abuse on his social media platform. Right. So they're taking a principled stand. I mean, it's not like anyone else isn't going to see. This is the thing when you have a platform, you are, and your model, your revenue model is advertisement. You're beholden to the whims and the political views of these. I mean, I'm not endorsing anti-Semitism here, obviously. That's not. I'm not saying they should give him their money. But this is anything and everything, isn't it? Like controversial topics, anything like that. The advertisers kind of get worried because there are a lot of groups as well that campaign heavily to stop advertisers going, with platforms that they dislike. I remember GB News gets a lot of that.
Yeah, and you have that stop hate that
they are
pulling advertisements. So this is, I suppose you could say this is a mirror. I mean, look, they can advertise where they like, but then I suppose they're also going to be in a tricky position because if you have the founder supposedly endorsing something that's anti-Semitic, then a lot of people could be like, well, what the hell are you doing? What are you playing at?
Yeah, it's anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that he's but he does this thing all the time. He doesn't realize his responsibility. I don't know how many millions of followers he's got, but there are people that hang on his every word. Just him liking
I'm going to look
tweet.
it up quickly. He has 163 million. I thought he'd have more.
But just him liking a tweet has ramifications. He has to realize that he's influencing, not in the shitty, I'm on Instagram, look at my new eyelashes influencer. I'm talking like he really does influence a lot of people, and he's got to be careful. Sometimes he'll respond to something and go, "This is crazy if it's true," and it's like, well, fucking find out if it's true first before you point 100 and odd million people to it. So that's the kind of thing. He's deeply irresponsible. He's talking about platform for truth when he shares demonstrable falsehoods from time to time and doesn't even bother to correct the record. So
he's also supported Russell Brand.
Yes,
the famous God. Who was accused of sexually abusing and raping women. That massive story that came out a couple of months ago. Which is now
part. I mean, Russell Brand has been questioned in an official capacity by the police now for a number of cases, and straight out of the gate when these allegations came to light as part of a documentary.
Didn't he go off and join? Is it Rumble? Is that a new platform or something?
It's old, but it's where all the cranks go. I did.
Right, okay. You went on there.
Yeah, I went on there. No, I'm not on Rumble, but I remember when I did a few Vox Pops interviews outside Parliament several years ago. It was a kind of an anti-vax. It was supposed to be an anti-lockdown protest, but they were all anti-vax lunatics basically. And
do you know who else is an anti-vax lunatic?
Go on.
We were talking about him.
Don't tell me it's Michael Owen.
No,
it's fucking John Lennon, isn't it? Is it John Lennon? It's Jean Claude Van Damme. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Don't take the bag. No, was it Russell Brand promoting that conspiracy theories about?
Yes,
the vaccine?
And he does it in. So I mean, first thing is. Elon Musk came out swinging in defense of Russell Brand straight away, even though these were very serious allegations that needed investigating, which is not a good look. Russell Brand does this very clickbaity YouTube thing. There's a game you have to play if you want to be successful on YouTube, and I refuse to play it. I make an interview and I put it on YouTube and I put the title that describes the interview, and it goes. I don't even create a thumbnail for it half the time. But if you want to earn a living being a YouTuber, you have to do like sensationalism, like the World Economic Forum did what ? And have a thumbnail.
I always avoid those videos.
But that's what gets the clicks. That's what gets the advertising revenue.
Oh, is that why I click on these videos?
Yes, I would imagine it is.
Because I watch videos on, say, old shows that I used to watch, and you know how it's now a trend where you have a YouTuber now providing commentary on these old episodes. So you watch them, and then the thumbnail always like, oh, how did they get away with this?
Yeah.
And then I watch it and think, I don't get it. Get away with what?
That's exactly it. You have to do.
I've been. Oh my god! I've fallen prey to clickbaiting. I thought I was too clever for that.
It's such a. If you want to be a successful YouTuber, which I don't, because I have a job. I I'm primarily a podcaster and a writer.
Why do you give up your job and do that?
Because it'll turn
easy
me into an
money
absolute twat. Because
as opposed to.
well, it'll turn me into an even bigger twat, should I say? Because what?
Well, but then you'll be a bigger twat making more money.
Well, I won't, but I'll be compromised.
You don't want to be chasing the money.
But what'll happen is, if I'm paying my mortgage via YouTube, I'll start to suddenly take a very keen interest in the topics that make me the most money and give me the most clicks, which means I'll just concentrate on them, and I'll buy.
No, you
And
don't have to. You
and
don't
what
have
I'll,
to have it. You don't have to have it as your sole income. Just enough on the side to buy your Michael Owen jumper.
yeah, but
That's
then
it, or a JC whiskey.
But I'll also look at this is what YouTubers do. They'll also look at videos that don't do very well, and it might be topics that are really important that you really care about. But if it doesn't do very well, they think, "Well, I'm not going to touch that again because there's nothing in it for me." You become compromised. Whereas now, I can do whatever I want because I'm not relying on people clicking on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, but you're
so that
gonna
I
be
can eat.
fucking poor
I would rather die poor and
with
be
your
able to sleep
principles.
at night.
Oh, bless. He has his principles.
Yeah, so that I don't have to like turn on a camera every couple of days and go, "Hi guys, you'll never believe what such a person did," and drag it out for as long as possible. Yeah. So Elon Musk, then, what do we think? Liability or the savior of X /
I don't think
Twitter?
he's the savior of X. I suppose it's too soon to say. Didn't he buy it? Was it a year ago he bought
I don't
Twitter
know.
/ X? So I think it's been a mixed bag since he took over. I mean, you see a lot more. I think you see a lot more crap on Twitter and hatred. Although the good thing about the good thing you can say is about the community notes. That's been a good addition. So you can see that as a way to tackle misinformation.
Yeah, it's better than nothing, basically,
It's
wasn't it?
it's better than now, but I don't know. I mean, come on, he's defending Russell Brand because all these people seem to be, bedfellows, don't they? They just seem to think, oh, this person is being attacked by the mainstream media. He must be doing something right. And I remember, Elon had a go at Brand because he was asking his followers to join him on Rumble because that's the only way we can keep our voice, he said. And then Elon Musk, rather than take issue with him being accused of sexual offences, was like, oh, it's disappointed that he's pushing Rumble because
Yeah.
that's a support of free speech. And you think, right, okay, so that is a primary concern here.
It's amazing. It's like, why isn't the accused alleged rapist using our platform exclusively? It's like that's who you want to catch, is it? Yeah, it's not a good look. I mean, talking of conspiracy theories, what's interesting is the fact that this documentary from Dispatches on Russell Brand, they must have been working on this for years, and he would obviously have got wind of it. Yeah, so obviously they would have been keeping him in the loop about the progress of it, or asking for comment at least. So he knows this is coming over the hill, and it seems very strange that he was all of a sudden ubiquitous on our TV screens for his acting work or his panel show appearances. He'd kind of made a go of it in Hollywood to an extent, and then he's done this complete 180 where he's now the YouTube guy talking, and his political leanings have completely changed. I mean, if you are a conspiracy theorist and you want to slap on a tinfoil hat, you could say he's seen this coming over the hill, and he needs to get an audience that will believe him when he says this is all one big media conspiracy. And that's the first thing he did when this news broke. And there's this idea that they need to stop you from telling the truth, Russell, as if the mainstream media is all having meetings about when
he was a darling of the mainstream media. He had he guest edited the New Statesman.
Yeah, God.
He had a column at the Guardian. And the thing is, here's the thing about Russell Brand. He was never going to be cancelled on YouTube or wherever because his fans were never going to abandon him. Their fondness or whatever for him was only going to intensify because those people don't necessarily have to like him to watch him. It's just that he taps into that that mistrust of governments and mainstream media that is prevalent in certain sections of society. That's what he does. He taps into that. That's what people like Russell Brand do. George Galloway does that as well. They tap into that that community that just seems to not trust the government or mainstream media for whatever reason, and accusations of sexual assault unfortunately aren't enough to stop someone like Russell Brand.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, and I kind of differentiate between someone like Russell Brand, who I believe is just an opportunist. I don't believe he believes half the things he says, and somebody who genuinely has gone down a rabbit hole and is convinced about all these things. But if you watch his output on some of these things, it's so constructed and it's so phoned in, and the way it hits certain beats, he does enough to give himself. He doesn't really say much, but he finds the big conspiracy theory of the day that everyone's riled up about, everyone's discussing. And he goes in and does a bit of content on it, and he kind of phones it in and touches all the, if this is true, this is crazy. If this is true, this is crazy. Not any real analysis, and people lap it up. And I think it's so people can say, I know what's really going on. I'm the smartest person in the room. You're a sheep. You believe all the mainstream media nonsense, but I've got my finger on the pulse. I know what's going on.
Oh, it's funny, isn't it, when you meet people in real life, as I do, and they talk about, they'll sit there and say to me, oh, but this is what the mainstream media isn't telling you. This is what you don't hear about in the media. And I said, well, why? How do you hear about it then? I said, oh, well, it was on a channel that was that mainstream. And I said, well, what channel was it? And they said, oh, something like Al Jazeera. Yeah, that niche channel. It's hardly. I mean, seriously, that is still mainstream.
But you're a journalist for one of the most popular read newspaper in the UK, I believe, especially in Mail Online. I would have thought as well. You are mainstream media. Do they hold meetings where you all have to sign on to the same views, the same politics, and have a top of the agenda? Make sure we fuck over Russell Brand. I don't think that's how. Yeah. Shit, damn it. That didn't take long to get an admission. But it's crazy to think there's a hymn sheet that's passed as if mainstream media is one giant.
It's not one. I mean, how many of these newspapers and organisations disagree with one another? Can you imagine the Guardian and the Daily Mail agreeing with each other on anything? No. And also, you talk about mainstream media, but Russell Brand was on every mainstream channel, and and some of the newspapers out there. So how is he honestly going around and presenting himself as some sort of alternative figure? Well, you're not. It's only because you've fallen out with them that you like to claim that, you're some sort of, I don't know, he tries to present himself as some sort of messianic figure. That, I'm going to tell you the truth that they don't want you to hear.
Well, that messianic figure comment you just made really just hits on something, because
he's just a naughty boy.
If was just a naughty boy, he's not gonna die. Okay, it's got to stop. But if he did have YouTube and this media platform, the way he operates and presents himself as this spiritual guru, he would just be a cult leader. That's what he would be.
He would be Rasputin.
He's got
the hair for it. Yeah. He's got the hair for it.
All right, what else can we talk about to avoid getting into Israel and Gaza?
I think we're just gonna have to get it.
No, it's got to be something else before that, surely. What about? Did you hear about female Newcastle United fan who said trans women are men, says her club membership has been suspended after police investigate her?
Utterly ridiculous.
Now, she's been banned, actually, now. I think she's been fully banned from the Newcastle Football Club. No great loss in my mind, but it obviously meant something to her. But this is a woman who tweeted out on the internet very factual and benign statements. I mean, to me anyway, some people might consider them not polite. That really shouldn't be grounds for a criminal for the police intervening. But I don't know if you read the transcript of the interview. The police officers got her in a room and repeatedly questioned her about these comments and repeatedly asked, do you think this could cause offence? Do you think this could cause offence? It was proper like Orwell shit when you read it. Really sinister fucking commie, think authoritarianism.
I mean, I have to say, I was more shocked that her membership just cost £37 a year.
That's
Is that standard for
that's
football?
well, that's a membership. So what that will mean is all that does it'll give you the right to then buy tickets at a discount.
Oh, okay. See, this shows you that I don't do football.
Yeah. So that membership gets you nothing half the time, apart from probably a discount in the club store and a discount on tickets.
Right.
So you have to be a member to get tickets, basically. But I think they've actually banned. I think she's banned from the ground now. And somebody had said, and I'll have to check this, but somebody had said that the club had seen these comments on Twitter, which had nothing to do with Newcastle Football Club whatsoever. They was completely in isolation. They'd seen these and then reported them to the police. So they think it's actually the football club that dropped her in it.
Wow.
So imagine you're a woman now.
Imagine.
Are you there? Are you there?
Sorry.
Imagine, got it in your head? Just imagine you're a woman, right? And yeah.
Right, I'm just trying to picture.
Just picture, let me know.
How I feel.
You're womaning. Just think. Really, really womany. So, I mean, football, as we know, in this country, it's predominantly considered a man's game, a man's pastime. It must be difficult to get female members interested in football. I bet if you looked at the demographics, it'd be quite striking, right? So they've got this woman who loves a club. She's a member, and they have basically shit-canned her and banned her from her beloved club for essentially knowing the difference between men and women.
I mean, I'm willing to bet Newcastle footballers would know the difference between a man and a woman.
So they know what a man is because they separate their male and female teams. But I mean, it comes back again to this whole cancel culture isn't real thing, and it sort of fucking is when a perfectly normal statement that wouldn't have wound anyone up 6 years ago is now grounds for the police calling you in for an interview and things that you love and care about rescinding your memberships and any association with you. So, I mean, what else is the criteria? I bet Newcastle United fans have shouted much more offensive things from the fucking terraces at St James's Park than this woman's, done tweeted. So I don't get it. It's crazy. I feel sorry for her because a lot. What you've got to think as well. I mean, this has made the newspaper. We all know about it, and we're all outraged. And she'll be getting support now. How many people just get fucked over in this way? That just go into the woodwork and are ashamed and don't want their friends to know this has happened to them and just
exactly
have to put up with it. It makes me angry. Not quite as angry as Israel Gaza, which I'm still avoiding. Should we do one more other story before talking about the Great Conflict?
I suppose we must.
Okay, this is a good one. This is right up your street. This is from LBC, and the headline is: Trans footballer quits women's team and threatens to sue for discrimination after rivals refuse to play against her. Now, this is fucking great news to me. So, this 30-year-old biological man was turning up to play football for an all-female team, and the opposing teams which were female refused to play if this biological bloke was in the team because apparently, and this is from the article, the presence of Francesca Needham, age 30, was said to have left her opponents terrified to play against her. Opponents decided to boycott playing against her after Needham broke another player's knee while blocking a shot.
She Needham.
Yeah.
She Needham.
Francesca Needham. Oh, great. So
Come on, I was asking for it.
This is a fully grown bloke, had all the advantages of male puberty, wants to rock up and play against women, and surprise, surprise, someone's been seriously injured. But I mean, this is interesting now because if this transgender footballer is considering legal action, I wonder if under our crazy gender-addled society and laws now, they might have a case.
I mean, the thing is, I didn't know this, but apparently there are 50 trans players registered in women's leagues across England.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know this.
So that's more than enough for their own fucking team.
Yeah, that's a good point. They could have, 4 teams? 5?
It's crazy.
Start your own team? It's just, I mean, for heaven's sake, I mean, why can't men just stick to their own teams? Why'd you have to gate crash women's clubs and teams? Fuck off.
It seems to me half the time this is a way of these individuals forcing an acceptance that they don't receive. Like, no one's accepted me as a woman. However, if I play women's sports, I'll be called part of the women's team. It'll make it somehow official. I'll have my delusions reinforced. That's what it feels like to me.
That is spot on. It is about having your delusions reinforced, because that's what they want. It's not enough that they have to cosplay as women. No, they want the rest of society, to join in and agree with them and say, yeah, we believe you're a woman when you're not. When is this madness going to end?
When a woman dies, that'll be it. And then even then, there'll still be debates about it. Even then, Ash Sarkar.
I don't think even that makes a blind bit of difference. I mean, women are killed by men all the time, and that doesn't seem to be taken as seriously. How is it going to make a blind bit of difference if a trans bloke does it?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw
trans woman. Sorry,
I don't know if you saw. It was quite distressing video footage of a hockey game the other day, and there was a trans woman on that team playing with the women, so a biological bloke. They received the ball just outside the area. This isn't ice hockey. This is just like field hockey, and they basically did what I believe is called a slap shot, where they just hammer it towards the goal. And there's this female defender a couple of yards out from the goal, and the ball has just hit her crack in the mouth. And she's gone down in agony, screaming. All her teammates are so distressed by the injuries that they're seeing that they've all had to walk away from her and, kind of covered their eyes. So this ball's hit her with some absolute force in her mouth. Now, I'm not saying the women's hockey game wouldn't be dangerous anyway. Sport is dangerous to an extent. Women will get injured playing women. But there's a level of speed, power and aggression that comes from men that you just can't get from women to a certain extent. This idea of explosive power, the difference in, power of hitting a ball or throwing a punch. It's just, doesn't matter who the strongest woman is at that. The strongest man will always beat it quite exponentially, unfortunately. So,
I mean, this is all about narcissistic male entitlement, and the FA need to grow a fucking pair as far as I'm concerned and take action and just stop this.
Yeah, I agree. Right, are we finally doing it? Are we going to wade into the conflict?
This is what's going to get us cancelled.
Oh, we've run out of time. Oh, absolutely gutted about that. I suppose we could just squeeze it in. What's your big hot take? Israel versus Palestine.
I say we call it Israeltine,
Israeltine.
For peace.
You're already bringing them together. Nice.
I am. See, right, okay. I want to focus on because this is really. I don't think anyone, whatever side you take, can win on this. I mean, no. I had a horrible message on this just because I think I tweeted something in support of dead Jews, and I had a really disgusting message, and I thought, wow, this is what it's come to. I mean, it doesn't matter. No other conflict in the world can bring out the type of emotion that you see whenever there is fresh fighting in Israel and Palestinian areas. It's just, everyone just loses it. Everyone becomes really emotional, and this I can understand why. I mean, the horror that was unleashed by Hamas on October the 7th is, that I can understand why has brought out so many feelings from Jewish communities and why they're really scared. And I think there's we could talk about, say, the occupation of Palestinians in the West Bank and the settlements. We can talk about the right of Palestinian statehood, absolutely, and I do believe in that. But I think I was just really appalled at the fact that some people just did not outright condemn what Hamas did. I'm not saying everyone has to come out and just state it for the record, but some of these people were very quick a couple of days later to go on about, oh, how we need a ceasefire, oh, we need peace, oh, Palestinian babies are dying. And I thought, well, what about Israeli babies?
There
What
were
about Jewish
actually
babies?
the pro-Palestinian marches and protests took to the streets before Israel had even retaliated, which was
Yeah.
remarkable. Do you not find it a little bit peculiar? And obviously, this might come from the fact that I have no skin in the game, really, in terms of this conflict. But do you not find it strange how much this conflict really animates the left? Because if this was sort of like the biggest conflict on the planet, where if it's death toll, for instance, of innocents, well, we have Syria, we have other places, so it's not that. I'm just trying to figure out, without being uncharitable, the far left's obsession with
Actually,
this.
you remember in 2011 when you had all that happening in Syria, you had Libya, all those people were on the streets marching against Western intervention.
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone coming out there and saying, oh, Assad needs to stop murdering these people. It was all about West, stay out of this right now. And look at this now. I mean, you're right to talk about other conflicts and other deaths. China is imprisoning loads of its Uyghur Muslims. You have actual concentration camps there where Muslims are being denied the right to practice their religion freely there. They don't have many rights. You could say, you could say that they're you could describe that as some sort of ethnic cleansing or a genocide. But you have something like that, and hardly anybody marched in the streets over that. But when it comes to Israel Palestine, I mean, I get people can pick a conflict that they feel passionate about. I'm not saying they don't. Everyone has a right.
What's your top 3 best conflicts, Iram?
I'm just saying.
Big fan of Bosnia, me. Big fan of Bosnia. That's up there. Falklands ranks quite highly.
I think the point I'm making is certain subjects will bring out, emotions out of people that they won't for another. But I'm just saying, if it's all about, humanity and genocide, well, where were you during all these other wars and all these other conflicts? Assad is still in power in Syria, and how many hundreds of thousands of people have died in that conflict, and no one gives a shit. Pakistan was expelling Afghan refugees.
Not even this many people turned out for Ukraine, so...
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine is important because it does affect us more. It's
closer to our doorstep, at least. I mean, it's Europe.
It is, and that war is affecting a lot more that's going on in the world, whereas Israel and Palestine, doesn't as much. I mean, I do sympathize with what's going on. I really do hope that this conflict does come to an end very soon. But I think what really disturbed me was seeing all these marches. I wouldn't go as far as to say that they're hate marches, because I think most people went on them out of concern for the loss of lives. But there was an element of these protests that contained hateful people and people chanting disgusting things against Jewish people, and those people weren't kicked off these protests. They were allowed to just march alongside them. No one seemed to have a word to say about them. Why not? You say you're all for peace, but you have people openly chanting death to Jews and taunting Jewish people. What about that?
It's a great point. I mean, it's difficult to separate the loony left from, frothy-mouthed Islamists and then your bog-standard anti-Semites, for sure. Obviously, there will be a lot of people there who are just for the innocent lives. But then, how welcome do you think people with, placards saying, bring the hostages home, release the hostages, Hamas? I mean, that's a call for peace. That's a call for innocent life. But
why is nobody saying that? I mean, they're all going on about, ceasefire now, now. Well, there was a ceasefire when Hamas broke it. They murdered and raped all those people. They took 200 plus hostages. Why isn't anyone demanding Hamas release those hostages?
It's terrifying to me how quickly people either played that down or are now defending it as just, and it makes. I mean,
Oh yeah, because the aggressor can't be the victim.
yeah, and I'm. You can see my social media feed, even on this podcast. We're not one for invoking Nazi Germany, really. I mean, but I think when you're talking about virulent anti-Semitism, I think it's all right to talk about the Holocaust. I think that's one of the few times you can actually reference it, and this just makes. I hope this has been eye-opening for a lot of people to see. Oh, actually, I can see how society is on a bit of a knife's edge with just one bad protest away from a pogrom. Yeah, I can see how anti-Semitic sentiment can rise to certain levels where it would be concerning to be Jewish, and in Europe, of all places. It just makes you wonder how easy things can boil over. And we have to obviously, the elephant in the room here is, there have been frothy-mouthed anti-Semitic Islamists just waiting for their opportunity to take this to the streets anyway. So that factors in. There's a lot going on here. These are the anti-Semitic right, the clown left, who are, a lot of them are anti-Semitic and don't even know it, and then there are Islamists mixed in. I don't know if you've seen as well this weird new genre of internet video now of people just ripping down hostage posters. It's
I've
such a
seen
morally
that.
confused act.
It's just absolutely appalling. Like these children, elderly people, they're taken hostage, and you see videos of these young women going around ripping off posters. And I just thought to myself, how fucking callous can you be? If you really care about Palestinian lives that much, why didn't you just put up pictures of dead Palestinian babies alongside or underneath and say, justice for them as well, if you're that concerned? Why does it have to be a competition? Why is a Palestinian baby's life more important than a Jewish baby's life?
Yeah, I agree. One other observation, and this happens every time this conflict rears. And I'm not saying, obviously, there will be tragic loss of life in the Palestinian territories, and a lot of the stuff coming out there will be genuine and heartbreaking. But there are a lot of repurposed videos from like the Syrian conflict.
I've seen some, fake
Earthquakes.
videos and images. Yeah.
And they're actually, and this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's absolutely true. The name for it is, I think they dub it Pallywood over there, like Palestine and Hollywood. People actually make fake videos in Gaza of atrocities and circulate them as real. I don't know if you've seen this guy who's become known as Mr. Fafo on there.
Oh,
Around and
gosh,
find
yeah.
out. He's always there for a scoop of some tragedy. He made a video. He was in the video the other week where there were people lying around, and it was like masses of pools of blood everywhere. Not a single cut on any of them, though. Not a single place where blood could have been coming from. It was quite clearly fake. And it's like, but the amount of people that were sharing it, saying, "Oh my God, look what Israel is doing." It's just, I think people forget that half of this is a propaganda war as well as a military war.
It is. I mean, propaganda is going to come from both sides.
Yes,
I think.
absolutely.
But I definitely came across some fake image, and God, they look so convincing until you take a closer look and you see a baby has about 7 toes.
I saw that. Yeah,
it's not a result of cousin marriage. It's a fake picture. But the thing is, I mean, there are some people I've seen suggesting that that maybe Jewish people are being oversensitive about this, and I think no, because of what they've been through historically. And whenever this the conflict and what happens, it's felt by Jews here and all around the world. It just takes them back to what happened during the Holocaust. And they are I suppose you could say they're a traumatized people. They've been through a great trauma, and I'm not surprised that whenever something happens, they immediately get very, very scared. And I think what people need to be honest about is, and I think you had Jake Wallace Simons from the Jewish Chronicle on your podcast once to talk about Israelophobia and the response to Israel, that a lot of it it's a new anti-Semitism. I'm not saying you can't criticize Israel. I think it should be criticized like any other country.
Yeah.
But the fact that it gets singled out,
it's a red flag. That
it is, and I'm sorry to say that especially in Muslim communities, there is a lot of anti-Semitism. And even, Mehdi
Oh
Hassan,
yeah.
the journalist that we both love, said it's past the dinner table test. It is true. I'm not saying all, obviously, but there is an element of that. Because if they were so concerned about Muslim lives, then why aren't they bothered about what's happening in Syria? Why aren't they speaking out about the Afghans that are being kicked out of Pakistan right now?
Oh yeah.
Because
Some
it's
of them. Some of the footage is terrifying.
but because this conflict involves Jews, it riles up people even more. I think that's what it boils down to, that it involves Jews.
Well, and here's definitely a double standard at play, because it upsets me the fact that there are so many Jewish people in Britain now who probably feel unsafe. British Jews feeling unsafe in their own home solely because they're Jewish. And it likewise upset me if Muslims were made to feel that way. And sometimes they are, obviously. But there's this. What I'm trying to get at here is, if you think of the worst sentiment that comes the way of Muslims, what we're going to look at, we're going to say like maybe the EDL or the BNP or Britain First. They're probably the chief aggressors towards anything Islamic. If any of them organisations had taken to the streets using the same rhetoric about Muslims and chanting about in the way that these pro-Palestinian protesters were about Jews, the whole fucking country would have lost its mind. A national emergency would have been called for by the left. Parliament would be talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. The EDL at its height, as horrible as they were, never never reliably produced the most horrible, racist, bigoted messaging that these pro-Palestinian march have. And I mean, obviously, there's a numbers issue here, because these pro-Palestinian protests are more numerous, aren't they? More people are involved, so you're going to get more just for per capita. But it just feels like it gets hand waved away when it's used. And I think half the time as well, because anti-Semitism, it's very conspiratorial and kind of pseudo-intellectual. A lot of people don't recognize it on the face of it. Jews fucking do. Jews know when they see people shouting from the river to the sea that things are not good when that many people are getting involved. Other people might just be so naive they won't. I mean, did you see Greta Thunberg, for instance? Did you see that thing?
Oh God!
I'm actually willing to believe she's innocent of this, as much as I dislike her, because she, for those who don't know,
well, I can't see any malice in that, but
yeah,
still, of course, she had to jump on that bandwagon.
She's come out in tweeting and Instagramming for pro-Palestine, and she tweeted out an image of herself in the context of pro-Gaza, and in the background, just over her shoulder, was a little plush toy that was an octopus. Now, that seems perfectly benign, and I imagine it was, but the issue is anti-Semitism is so fucking crazy and so fucking wide, kind of, there's so many anti-Semitic rabbit holes you can go down that it can essentially be everywhere and you not even notice, unfortunately. Schrodinger's fucking anti-Semitism, but an octopus was used in a lot of Nazi imagery to sort of personify Jewish people, these all-reaching tentacles. It was used to dehumanize them as an octopus that had their tentacles in everything, banking, culture, all sorts of things. So, and
hers wasn't hers more to do with autism or something?
Yeah. So it's just terrible, shitty look, I imagine, that Greta Thunberg's tweeted out something about Gaza, and in the background there's this octopus there, and it's kind of like, it's the optics of it. But I'm willing to believe she had no idea what she's doing. But that's the waters you have to live in if you're Jewish. You kind of, is this anti-Semitic? Is this a bizarre coincidence? Because there is so many things that could signal. I mean, people get around. It's perfectly fine to have issues with Zionist. But sometimes the way people say Zionist and in the context they say Zionist, they clearly just mean Jew.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just say Jew. They don't even say Zionist. They say Jew. So yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've largely tried to stay off Twitter because I think it's just become so toxic, and my timeline is just full of Israel and Gaza, and people just shouting and screaming at one another. Don't know what they think that's going to achieve.
I've checked out of it a little bit. I've had to mute a lot of conversations because it is thankless. You can, like you said, I'm not. This doesn't apply to me because I have a quite strong opinion on the topic, which is going to invite a strong response. But you can have a very benign, middle of the road opinion, which is perfectly vanilla, and people will come for you for not saying the right things to appease Group A or the wrong things to piss off Group B or whatever. So It's thankless, and and to be honest, it's all noise because at the end of the day, Israel will do exactly what the fuck it wants in this situation.
Yeah, see, this is what I don't get about, all these people chanting for a ceasefire and all these MPs who are resigning from Keir Starmer's government, shadow government. What do they think Keir Starmer can do about Israel and
Yeah.
Gaza? He's not prime minister. I mean, I'd understand if, Labour was actually in power and you thought it could have some sort of influence, but it's not. Whether you agree with Keir Starmer's stance or not is not the point. There's little the man can do in the Middle East. I don't think God himself can solve that particular conflict.
He's definitely checked out of this debate for sure.
Well, I mean, I suppose he's the cause of it.
Well, yeah,
he's been saying different things to different people.
Yeah, there's
what happens when you promise all sorts.
Yeah, there's a real estate dispute here, isn't there? A theological real estate dispute. Shall we quickly get off this topic while we're still alive and see if we've got any questions from our wonderful audience?
Yeah.
Lula Bell has asked, can I'm a Celeb get a mention, please? That's I'm a Celeb, get me out of here. The agony and the ecstasy of those exploding in orgasms of righteous indignation as they seek to cancel literally everyone and everything associated with it. Light relief in these dark times. I think I know what she's getting at here.
I don't even watch I'm a Celebrity. She's talking about Nigel Farage.
Yeah, she's got to be. I mean, it is a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't mind watching it, but Nigel Farage has gone into the jungle, obviously, and it's strange because this is how people lose their head about politics, especially in this country. He's quite a very mainstream national populist in this country, not an extremist by any measure. You're pal, innit? You've met him.
I have. That's another famous person I've met.
But to the lovey left Gardenista progressives, he's basically Hitler. So the fact that he's on a reality TV show and he's, they'll be going mad, why is he on our screens, this far right racist, etc., etc. I think that's
I think if you really dislike Nigel Farage that much, just keep him in and make him eat as many kangaroo testicles as possible.
I think that's what's happening. I do see that. I think he got nominated for the first task trial the other day. But yeah, I mean, but to be fair, if you're a politician and you go into a reality TV show with other people, it's going to be...
You'd have to be very desperate.
Yeah, well,
to do that.
Isn't he got an LBC show? Do they not pay well enough?
I thought it was a GB News show.
Oh, GB News. Okay.
I mean, that's someone who just loves the sound of his voice and watching himself.
Yeah, he wants the attention.
Yeah. Well, I reckon keep him on. Vote for him to eat as many animal
eat dick.
Bits and bobs.
Eat dick, Nigel Farage.
Eat dick, Nigel. Vote for me.
You do. Right, last question from Bruce Liberace. Share top tips for daytime drinking and where to get best rum barber in the Northwest. Welcome back, by the way.
No, I've missed this guy. Hello.
Yeah, I can't give you any rum tips. I'm a Scotch guy myself, or a hoppy IPA. So I know. I mean, St. Peter Street. It's good for the old. It's got a Japanese whiskey bar there. Get some Suntory. I know that's not what you asked. Daytime drinking though, I've got this down to an art now. Do you know how you do it? Early afternoon, get absolutely slaughtered. Bed by 7 p.m. Done. Right as rain the next day. You just got to do it like an old man. It's when you stray off, when you carry over your daytime drinking into the evening, you're asking for trouble.
Is that really like the best way to get a good night's sleep as well?
No, alcohol's just it's the sleep killer, but it's the way to not feel like you want to die the next day. Which that's what a hangover is for me at this point in my life now. Too much to drink, and it's like, well, that day's done. Cancel all plans.
Do you know who does believe in a bit of daytime drinking?
I know who you're going to say because I read every word of your wonderful piece. And some of I remember in your quote. So you're talking about Jean Claude Van Damme. He said that he'd have a shot before he works out, perhaps, and he mentioned schnapps. And our man Arnold Schwarzenegger likes a bit of schnapps before he works out.
I like schnapps.
Like the schnapps. Yeah, so I'll have his book to review for you next. They should have just got me to read it for him on Audible. No one would have noticed. I would have done it, a quarter of the price.
No one would have noticed.
No one would have noticed at all. Is there anything else we want to say before?
Oh, I mean, I've got plenty to say, but just don't think. There's just not enough time. Not enough time.
All right. Anything else? Any little tidbits about Jean Claude Van Damme you want to share?
What do you want to know?
How tall is he? Looks like he's about 5'8".
Yeah, I'd say about. Well, I think officially he's about 5'9", but I'd say 5'8", 5'9".
So if he's officially
because it
5'9",
might
then he's
be.
5'7", isn't he? Let's.
Yeah. Well, I was wearing heels, and he was like just about, I'd say, an inch above me.
Oh, so you're about 5'4", 5'5", aren't you?
I'm 5'4".
5'4", right? Let me have a look. So
Very good average height for a woman, and not petite as some people would have it. I am not petite.
okay, so I've just googled it now, and it says that he's 5'10", which I'm calling
He's
bullshit
not.
on.
I'm calling bollocks
With
on
platforms, maybe. All right, yeah, and hang a second. Someone's got him right. This on his IMDb profile. His height's listed at 5'8.5". That half's very important.
that. Every inch counts, you know.
Let me see. I'm going to put Jean Claude Van Damme height and just Google image it. This is quality content for the end of the show, and just see who he stood next to in these images, and see if we can figure out roughly whether he's a tiny man or a tall man.
Because he stood next to Sylvester Stallone in one picture, and I think is he shorter than him?
But the trick is, you've got to have his feet in there as well, because he might be wearing lifts. So I've got one where he stood next to Jason Statham and Dolph Lundgren, and he's the same size as Statham, quite a lot shorter than Dolph. But yeah, I can see he's got lifts. He's got big human fucking heels.
Whoa! How tall is Jason Statham? Like what, 5'10"?
Don't know.
Because Cuban heels aren't very high. They're like what, 2 inches?
Okay, well, I say we do some research on this and dedicate an entire episode to it next week. Celebrity heights. Find out where they are. Just some stellar detective work.
I mean, I had some pretty nice comments under that article. Everyone's like, forget Jean Claude Van Damme. Who's the woman?
Oh, nice. That is a very fetching red. There we go. That's the Iram in a fetching red dress is going to be the thumbnail for this week's Taking the Myth.
Yeah,
Stood next to Jean Claude Van Damme.
Lose us subscribers as a result of that.
All right, we've nailed it. I think we're done. I think we've made it.
I think we've solved peace in the Middle East.
Solved peace, and I'm gonna.
I'll be back, baby.
I'm gonna hit stop this. So I'm gonna hit stop on this. Get it straight to Netanyahu, and ceasefire will commence.